So I'm here with my buddy Tyler. What's up, dude?
Hey, man.
How are ya?
Good.
Good. So I forgot when that was, right? It was like 2020.
Yeah, maybe 3 years ago.
Yeah, we recorded that podcast 18.
Yeah, right when I was in rehab.
You were
the end of rehab.
You were in rehab, but you were also struggling with the fact that your girlfriend had passed away.
This was right after that happened. Yes.
From a drug overdose.
Yeah, that's what prompted the trip to rehab.
Yep, and then we weren't sure if we were going to release the video.
Yeah.
But then we did.
Yep. Yep, there was a lot going on. I wasn't super comfortable releasing it. Some time had passed, and I felt it was right. And, I kind of warmed up to the idea and thought that it should be out there. And, with your encouragement and blessing, we released it. So, yeah, it's 2023 now. It's been 3 years. It was super heavy back then, and it's become less and less heavy, but still just something that it's a major event in my life, but it's not I can function now, which is a relief, because it was very hard for a while. But anyway,
well, I want to say one thing real quick, because after we did that podcast, episode number 18, that's my favorite episode. And that thing's been downloaded like 1,000 times. I mean, people are still listening to that episode. That was extremely powerful. And the conversation with you and I back and forth, it was extremely helpful for a lot of people, and I've heard that straight up. So I hope that you feel good about that. Like you have helped people.
That's good
like
to hear.
Seriously help people.
That's something. That something could come out of something terrible.
Yeah.
I suppose.
Yeah. So what happened after we did that podcast almost 3 years ago now?
Finished up at rehab. Took my van, moved down to Florida, helped a buddy of mine who was starting a mushroom farm, and helped him start it out of his garage. Came back up north for the summer to get out of Florida. Took my van up north and did some river guide work on the Hudson up in the Adirondacks, and just really had a ton of space and quiet out there, to kind of let go of a lot of the junk and heal a little bit. I found a beautiful community out there. I had a lot of time to process and think and figure out what's next. And
because that, I gotta say, that was hard, right? Like, your girlfriend OD'd.
Yeah.
And then it's, where do you go from here? And so,
well, I had to go somewhere.
Yeah, you did.
That was the name of the game. Was I couldn't. I mean, not doing something was the hardest. The hardest thing to just not do anything and just be stagnant. I wouldn't have been able to bear that. So you just kind of have to keep moving, even though it feels like you're faking it sometimes, and it's just feels impossible. I guess you just kind of force yourself to keep going.
Yeah.
Fake it till you make it type of thing. It does get easier to function, and kind of start getting yourself back. But I mean, it's always there, but I guess I just relate to it better, I suppose would be a good way to put it.
So what have you kind of come to terms with, or what have you figured out, or what are you practicing, or what are you using since then to either center yourself, as you say, find your middle way, or just feel good about where you're at or what you're doing? Because it ain't easy, right? It's not easy for anybody. Even for the people who haven't lost multiple family members to overdoses, and
Sure.
it's hard. So what have you figured out in the last few years?
I've figured out that if I'm doing it only for myself, I'm not gonna make it, you know. Some days, you know, on the hard days, if I was just doing it for myself, I wouldn't continue doing it, you know. On those days where it's the hardest, you do it for all the people who are around you, and you know that your decisions and your actions affect them, and there's a ripple that happens, you know, for everything you do. So I kind of lean on that pretty heavily, and on the hard days. Yeah, for sure. That's like my major thing that I've kind of been learning.
Yeah.
And kind of been leaning on.
Yeah. What are some of the key routines or disciplines that you're using, like in the last year or two, that you've come to find really work for you?
Definitely writing, journaling, reflection, just laying things out and getting things out, and trying to allow myself to just sit and let my thoughts flow onto paper, without self-censoring and constantly stopping and judging myself and stuff like that. Because if I can do it on paper, I can do it in day-to-day life and not constantly be thinking, overthinking and overthinking and overthinking. Exercise, being outside, a meditation practice as much as I can, but some days it's, you know, I don't sit every day, but I try. Yeah, I guess those are the things that I do.
That's huge, right? Yeah.
They have been, yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
for me, it's the same. You know, it's writing, it's getting inside my own head, figuring shit out. It's my body getting healthy, going out and exercising. You know, because until you have your mind and body right, it's hard to do much of anything.
Yeah.
But
looking at your thoughts, right? Like,
yeah,
because a lot of the things I noticed, like, it will just be repetitive, like nonsense things.
Yeah.
That I keep thinking about and keep thinking about and keep thinking about, and the minute I can start to like recognize that that's happening is when I can start to you know, let it go.
Yeah. What are the things that you try not to do?
Stay in bed and isolate myself, and just isolating, not moving, I guess, you know, being still.
Physically,
yeah, being still in like a depressive way, right? In like a closed off way. So it's, you know, not that I'm always perfect at it, like I have my days or multiple days sometimes, but you know, as soon as I can start to kind of see that that's coming, I can do something about it.
Wow.
And reach out, and, you know.
Yeah. Wow. You know, I got a message from a friend of mine the other day, and she's really tough, and she's a mom and really smart and just works so hard, cares about other people. And she admitted that she's in this deep, deep depression. And she can barely hang on. Right? And that's a lot of us. You know? I know a couple young people who just killed themselves this month. And they were close. One of them was a family member.
Yeah, you mentioned very young.
Yeah.
Early 20s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He had a kid. He had a 5-year-old son. But what would you say to the mom? You know, what would you say to anybody? You know, like our friend Josh, right, in New Mexico, who's like, he's almost beyond giving up. But what would you say to somebody who's like, they're so stuck in their depression, they don't even know how to start?
I don't know. I feel like I'm not in... I don't know. It feels weird, like, trying to give advice to other people.
But just pretend, like we said before back in the other podcast, pretend you're talking to yourself.
Yeah.
And you found yourself in your worst depressive state of your life. What would you say to yourself?
even though everything's telling you not, do the opposite of what your mind's telling you to do. Whatever you're telling yourself, just do the opposite. And then call someone and talk to them. And if you tell yourself that you're going to annoy them by calling them, that means do the opposite. Call them,
Yeah.
Whatever your mind's telling you, do the opposite.
Wow. Great. Anything else for a little 2023 update from Tyler TJ Schmidt?
I don't know. It's been a long ride. I'm very much happy. Looking back, I'm very much happy that I've made progress. Things could have really gone the other way. I'm not perfect. I still have a lot of things that I want to improve, but there have been some major hurdles that I've overcome, and I don't know, man. That's what I like about hanging out with you, is I can actually sit down and recognize that.
Yeah.
And not just be constantly trying to improve. Just take a moment to say, look, you've done some good shit. And,
Yeah.
Man, I love you, man. And
love you too.
happy to be here.
You've just done amazing stuff, and especially with all your loss and all your pain, like, you're not numbing that pain, you're facing it, and you're figuring shit out.
Yeah.
And you made a hell of a contribution in the book, and we got more stuff coming, and I'm just happy that you're my friend.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah. All right,
Same.
dude. See you next time.